Block just reported their latest earnings report, a beat across the board, pretty strong quarter by the company yet again, now that they're again focused on growing, but in a sustainable and in a profitable way. Now, at the start of the shareholder letter, they do talk a lot about Bitcoin and their investment in Bitcoin and them actually dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin each and every month. More on that in just a bit. But yesterday the stock got hit quite hard, 8 to 9% or so. Because a report came out, basically federal prosecutors are examining financial transactions at Block, owner of Cash App and Square. Internal documents indicate Block processed crypto transactions for terrorist groups and Square processed transactions involving nations subject to economic sanctions. Now, maybe or maybe not, this is true. Remains to be seen. Block, of course, is going to tell us, maybe hopefully in the earnings call, that this is not true and we have the proof. So you can look at that, because these are quite big accusations to make. And unfortunately, I mean, since Jack Dorsey has been CEO of Twitter, of Block for quite a while, controversies have been chasing him. Is he the one letting them chase him, or is he the reason why these things pop up every now and then? Remains to be seen. You, of course, know my view on Jack Dorsey. I've been critical of him for quite a while now. Now, currently, I still hold my position, but I'm very, very close to hitting that sell button because of the leadership. I like the ecosystem, I like the business, but maybe I'll cut my position a little bit until they figure it out. Now, without further ado, if you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if not. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. By the way, stock is up around 6 to 8, 9% or so at the time of making this video. Of course, a lot can change whenever you're watching this. So, like I said, they start the shareholder letter with a whole couple of pages talking about Bitcoin. So why the hell are you spending so much time on Bitcoin? They talk about it being the currency of the internet, even though nobody really uses Bitcoin as a currency on the internet or off the internet. But okay, it's basically them trying to explain that they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist, but if it were to exist, it can be solved with Bitcoin. Whether you believe this or not is up to you. They say here, since the launch, Cash App has had over 21 million actives use Bitcoin. Cash App Bitcoin products generated 3.3% and 4.2% of Block's gross profit in 2022 and 2023, with only 0.7% of related expenses. This is, by the way, one of the reasons. This is also this fact here. Less than 3% of the company's resources are dedicated to Bitcoin related projects. So to me, it doesn't really matter much, since it doesn't impact the overall business negatively if it would not work out. They continue by talking about this. They also, by the way, say this: we want to help secure the Bitcoin network by building Bitcoin mining hardware. We're introducing an entirely new 3nm ASIC mining chip in addition to an entire mining rig system. Of course, you can pause the screen if you want to read all of it. Then they end by saying, we also believe in investing in the overall asset of the ecosystem and holding Bitcoin in our treasury. Going forward, each month we will be investing 10% of our gross profit from Bitcoin products into Bitcoin purchases. We are one of the first public companies to put Bitcoin on our balance sheet. We invested $220 million into Bitcoin, and that investment has grown by approximately 160% to $573 million as of the end of the first quarter. Of course, it's smart of them to come out with these statements right now when Bitcoin is quite high, because I can assure you that if they were coming out with this statement last year or so, it would not have been well received. And so if you look at the highlights, by the way, they beat on revenue estimates, beat on EBITDA estimates, crushed GAAP EBIT estimates, EPS one as well. With regards to guidance, they raised gross profit guide by 1.5% and raised EBITDA guide by 4.9%. More on that later on. So gross profit reached $2.09 billion. That's up 22% year over year. Cash App gross profit up 25% year over year. Square gross profit up 19% year over year. With regards to operating income, it's now actually an income, $250 million with a 12% margin. Adjusted operating income, 17% margin, $364 million. Net income, 23% margin, came in at $472 million with adjusted EBITDA of $705 million with a 34% margin, and as you can see, improving each and every quarter. Then, with regards to Cash App, Cash App with its bank partners is focused on three-part strategy. Introduced last quarter, banking our base, moving upmarket by serving families, and building the next generation social bank. Where did we hear that one before? Our primary focus in the near term is banking our base by driving paycheck deposit adoption and increasing inflows per actives. Quite impressive. You're going to see this in just a second. Cash App Card monthly actives increased 16% year over year to 24 million. They also said here that 40% of Cash App Taxes actives chose to receive their refund directly into Cash App during the tax season, an increase from the prior year. Buy Now Pay Later GMV was $6.98 billion in the first quarter. That's up 25% year over year. Then with regards to some investments, with regards to Square specifically, they're investing in their sales team to drive growth with larger sellers while increasing product velocity to enhance their ability to serve sellers across their business. For Cash App, they're prioritizing initiatives with their bank partners that drive more customers toward a primary banking relationship. Their focus is on continued execution to reach their Rule of 40 target by 2026. And so, first quarter revenue came in at $5.96 billion. That was up 19% year over year. If you exclude Bitcoin revenue, that was $3.23 billion, up 14% year over year. Gross profit, like we said before, $2.09 billion, up 22% year over year. Then, with regards to Cash App, so Cash App revenue was $1.44 billion, up 18% year over year. Cash App generated $1.33 billion of subscriptions and services-based revenue, up 23% year over year. As you can see right here, 57 million actives, $1,255 inflows per active, which, by the way, in the first quarter, overall inflows were $71 billion. That's up 17% year over year and 12% quarter over quarter. Truly amazing numbers here. Monetization rate was 1.48%, up 7 basis points year over year, but down 1 basis point quarter over quarter. They say here they continue to see strong usage of Cash App Card as the number of Cash App monthly actives increased 24%, as we've seen before, in March, and spent per monthly active also grew on a year-over-year basis. With regards to Square revenue and gross profit specifically, growth in Square gross profit was driven primarily by their banking products and international markets. Square GPV in the United States grew 6% year over year, and Square GPV in the international markets grew 23% year over year, or 26% on a constant currency basis. Square GPV, as you can see here, gross payment volume was $50.46 billion. That's up 9% year over year. Now, with regards to gross profit from their banking products, strength in banking gross profit was driven by continued strong demand for loans and healthy repayment trends. I mean, we've talked about loans with SoFi, and it's interesting that here with Block, they're actually pushing for that. Moving on to international gross profit, that was up 38% year over year in the first quarter as they observed healthy growth in payment volumes across each of their international markets. They've also seen strength in their banking products internationally, most notably the recent launch of their merchant cash advance product in Japan. As for expenses, operating expenses were $1.84 billion on a GAAP basis, $1.41 on a non-GAAP basis, up only 7% and 3% year over year respectively. With regards to product development expenses, GAAP, non-GAAP basis was up 15% and 16% respectively. With regards to sales and marketing expenses, also GAAP, non-GAAP, was down 11% and 12% respectively. So again, the focus here is on growth, but in a sustainable, in a profitable way. Moving on to earnings, the year-over-year improvement in operating income and adjusted operating income was driven by gross profit growth across their Cash App and Square ecosystems. And the same can be said here with net income attributable to common stockholders and adjusted EBITDA. They also say here that on a GAAP net income basis, there was a $233 million gain from the remeasurement of their Bitcoin investment. As for the balance sheet and cash flow, they ended the first quarter of 2024 with $8 billion in available liquidity, with $7.2 billion in cash, cash equivalents, restricted cash, and investment in marketable securities. In the first quarter, they also repurchased 3.6 million shares for an aggregate amount of $252 million. As of March 31st, 2024, they still had $591 million remaining available and authorized for repurchases. As for net cash provided by operating activities, that was $296 million. Adjusted free cash flow was over $1 billion. And that's for 12 months ending. As for a guidance, for Q2, they expect gross profit to grow around 16 to 17% year over year, adjusted EBITDA margin between 31 and 32%, adjusted operating income margin there 14 to 15%. In the second quarter of 2024, they expect their share-based compensation expense to remain relatively stable year over year on a dollar basis. As for 2024 outlook, they are raising here gross profit, so they were expecting to grow 15%, they're now growing here 17%, adjusted EBITDA margin of 31%, adjusted operating income also increasing, so the margin there 15% instead of 13%, and the rule of 40 will be at 32% instead of 29%. Why they're raising that already right now? Well, they're raising their full year outlook to reflect outperformance in the first quarter and improved expectations for the remainder of the year. In my opinion, they probably already know that they're going to beat these numbers. That's why they're raising it already right now, which I'll take it as a big positive. And so right now, if we look at the stock, it's back over $75. Of course, if it holds, then it is at the 50 and the 20-day moving average. Let's see if on Friday we get a green day as well, so we can stay above that. The 200-day moving average sits at $69.18. Of course, we were under that yesterday because of that report that came out. But on Thursday, we did rebound above that, and now we're above that yet again. Maybe we can finish the week above the 20 and the 50-day moving average. That would be quite good. But overall, since they've made that change, since they've focused back on sustainable growth, profitable growth, things are looking quite good for Block, Square, Cash App, you name it. So congrats to all the team. Again, with Jack Dorsey there is always going to be some controversy, whether it's still on Twitter, on X, or with the business Block or Bitcoin. Because right now with Bitcoin going up and up and up, everything is fine, but who knows what might happen in the next crypto winter. Sentiment will definitely change. Plus, as we've seen, stocks like Block and Robinhood as well sometimes, most of the time they do tend to go up and down with cryptocurrencies. So you always have to take that into consideration. But overall, another good quarter, good guidance. So I'm quite happy. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.